going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I'm finally back with Keelan. What is going on, man?
What is going on, brother? Can't complain. Can't complain. I am excited to get into this, man. Excited to give him something new to listen to.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited as well. Yeah, we took a bit of a hiatus for a couple or about a week, but we're back in it and a little bit off this week just because we both had a lot to do yesterday. So
Yeah.
we decided that we were going to shoot today instead of yesterday, but we'll be back to our normally programmed scheduling, our scheduled programming on Sunday night. So, but that is not what you're here for tonight. You're here for us to regale you with the epic tale of Iron Mask 2019, which is currently available on Hulu. And it stars Jackie Chan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Charles Dance, most notably, anyways. And when I saw the trailer for this movie, I thought to myself, oh, we have to watch it. I think Keelan and I both like Jackie Chan a lot.
Yeah.
And, Arnold Schwarzenegger is funny to watch on movies just because kind of how awkward he is. So I thought this was going to be a good pick, guys. And I'm really, really sorry to disappoint anybody who might have watched this movie. Because I was incredibly wrong. So I'm taking an L on this episode. But I won't get into my opinions just yet. Let's get Keelan's first impressions of Iron Mask 2019. Keelan, what do you think?
Well, first let's start with Iron Mask 2019 and its name. It is called Iron Mask, but it's also called VIY 2. Um, that was confusing. Journey to China. That's what comes up on Google. And then there's a mention of the V in this movie. That is how I feel about this entire movie. Exactly how that statement sounded to you. What?
Mm.
Um yeah, my first thoughts about this movie, I thought I was going to get a lot of action. I got a moderate amount of action, a very moderate amount in fact. Almost forced amount. Almost a forced amount of action. I didn't know what to expect. I did think this was going to be something that it wasn't. And the only thing I think I can say about this movie for a first impression is either watch it or don't. I don't even know if I can suggest or decline a suggestion on this movie.
Yeah, you can't give it a recommendation, is what you're saying, huh?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you on that one. Again, yeah, I think going into it, I saw the trailer and I thought, no, this might be good. It looked awful. It looked terrible with the CGI, but it had Arnold Schwarzenegger in a sort of Victorian officer's uniform and Jackie Chan dressed up as like an old, wise, like sort of martial arts Sifu. Yes. Um, and I think it had their fight scene in the tower, which was probably what hooked me to the movie. But yeah, dude, this thing is, whew, holy moly!
Yeah.
I did not expect it to be that bad. You
Fresh
think
and
to
hot.
you think yourself like, oh, Jackie Chan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that sounds great. I can't go wrong with that. But the problem is that Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger are at an absolute bait and switch to this movie. They're not very much in this movie at all, and they really just lended their name to this movie to maybe bring in more viewership. So,
Right. I believe
yeah.
they both were executive producers. I know Schwarzenegger was.
And I hope that that's just an honorary title that you get as like a more
I,
senior actor. I wouldn't want to
maybe.
put my name on this.
Yeah, maybe. But I think sometimes, I've said it in the past. Sometimes people are doing things because they have a passion for making a certain type of film, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, that's fair. But Jackie Chan, I think, was a producer in Rumble in the Bronx, and that was a great movie.
Hmm.
And I think he's been a producer on all of his movies, and most of them are very good. So, not exactly sure what happened here. I feel like it was a favor to to somebody.
Somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the movie comes off as this. There's a few things in this movie that jump out that make you like, oh wow, that's interesting. Make you almost want to watch. The dragon and the eyelashes, so the creation of tea, the healing properties of tea, which we never really find out. talked about, um, the magic medallion, and there was one other thing that the monsters and mystical creatures in Transylvania in Russia.
Mm.
Outside of that, it's a bad love story.
Is it even a love story? Who's in love? Is it the two
Yeah,
white people?
yeah. What's her name? Emma,
James,
Emily,
James and
Jonathan,
Emily.
and James and Giant Peach. James and Emily. Is it? I thought it was Jonathan.
Might be Jonathan. I think his last name was Green. So
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Green.
yeah. Yeah, oof, man. There were some aspects of this movie that I liked for sure. I did like the concept of using science in the place of magic,
Yeah, that was
and
pretty
sort of
gnarly.
tricking people into thinking that you might be doing something mystical that you're not, just because you have like understanding of a scientific process. That's
Hmm.
pretty good. A little bit Wizard of Oz esque, which
Hmm.
is it's a classic callback. So um, yeah, I guess we could just get this into the outline of this is that the movie starts in this tower where Jackie Chan and this masked man are chained up, and we find out that the masked man is the Tsar
This is
Nicholas the First of Russia,
Peter the First.
Peter the First
Mhm.
of Russia, and he's been held captive in England. And part of the story revolves around him having to go back to Russia to reclaim his throne, but he never gets there. So,
Yeah.
uh, I think, like the entire movie, he was supposed to go to Russia to go back and rule
No,
his kingdom.
he was supposed to help them in China.
I didn't even know that. Like, oh, yeah. Anyways, so there's this story of this cartographer who befriends this man that she thinks is a man, but everybody with two eyes knows it's not a man; it's a woman in disguise.
Yeah.
And the woman in disguise ends up being this princess from China, whose kingdom has been taken over by an evil witch who is assuming her countenance in order to rule, and also utilizing the knowledge of science to make the villagers think that she has a stranglehold on the dragon that rules over the kingdom.
Also,
Yeah.
also remember, Ching Lang is the princess, and the master in the dungeon with the Iron Mask man is her father.
No.
Yeah.
Oh. No, no, no. Her father is Jackie Chan.
Yeah. The man
Okay.
in the tower with the Iron Mask man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I thought you meant the Iron Mask man. I'm like, okay, I
No,
don't
no, no,
remember
no,
that.
no, no.
Yeah. The Iron Mask thing obviously is also a misnomer because it really doesn't mean a whole lot in this movie at all, except for that the Russian guy is wearing it for most of the movie.
Right. I think mm, I don't know if there's any continuity with costume in this entire movie.
Oh, there certainly isn't with the final scene between all of the princesses fighting at the end. They all did like for it first started off. The witch and the princess were wearing different clothing, and then all of a sudden they morphed and they had the same clothes on. And then there were two other the witch's servants both wore princess masks. So there were four
They were,
princesses dancing or fighting each other, but they all looked the same.
yeah, barely. I don't know. I felt like none of them looked like the actual person at first. Does
But
that make sense?
the witch wearing the mask did because it was the same actress.
I mean, yeah, it was, but it was almost like the difference in makeup made it obvious until they started giving her the exact same makeup.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is probably us trying to make sense of something that didn't even have much thought in the first place. So,
Okay, right.
yeah,
Whatever.
you're probably right,
Yeah, I'm
but
sorry. I
I
know I got
just
we were talking about that already, and I kind of went specific, like, yeah, the wardrobe was like, wait, sorry, I jumped.
I think there's certain elements of the wardrobe that are decent enough, but yeah, it is a little bit all over the place. It's like it's rural Chinese, and then like Chinese like sort of royal regalia, and then
Mhm.
some weird
Seemed somewhat
um
modern.
it seemed somewhat modern, but then there was a very like sort of cartoonish styling of the Europeans with very colonial dress
Yeah,
wear.
yeah.
um, yeah, especially Arnold, who is the warden of the Tower of London, where the movie really starts. and
Right.
he relishes in the idea that nobody can escape his tower. So much so that he periodically, apparently, uh,
Yes.
he fights with the prisoners
Yeah.
to try to let them escape. And
And actually lets them go.
yes, and if they escape, he lets them go. But normally they don't escape because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's not letting many people buy him.
I know your request. All three of you are free. What?
I know. It was one guy that beat. Those were the guardsmen, right? The
Yeah.
Chinese guardsmen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they get freed because one of them beats Arnold, and then they're like, "We're not leaving. Uh, we're all leaving together." And he's like,
Right.
"Yes,
I thought he
sure."
was gonna make all three of them fight him.
I know. I thought so too. I did actually, but no, no. And the dialogue is absolutely awful. But I don't know if that's because it's dubbed. Um, It could be that the dialogue works better in Mandarin. Maybe sounds more natural, but at least for the dubs, it didn't. The dialogue did not seem natural at all.
I'm about to say I had a hard time following any of the discussions because had the dub almost made the emotion non-existent.
Yeah, yeah. There were
Everybody
no
was
stakes,
bubbly and happy the whole time.
right? Yes, there was very little in the way of voice acting, and obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger, Charles Dance, and Jackie Chan don't have voice actors because I guess most of their talking is in English, and I think they just let them speak English.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But
I did notice that at certain points, other characters had switched back and forth.
me too. Yeah, it was a little bit all over the place. And Charles Dance is in this, dude. Tywin Lannister is in this.
Mhm.
What was
Just for 3 scenes,
Yeah, what was he? He was the father of.
Mr. Grandfather. So in the next one, you know exactly what's going to happen. He's coming for Iron Mask. I mean, he's coming for the scrolls.
Wait, whose grandfather is he?
Um, he is the grandfather of Jonathan. No, yeah,
He's
Jonathan's kid.
Jonathan's
So
father,
he's
right?
no. He's Jonathan's girl. So Mrs. Dudley's father.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So he's the father-in-law. Got it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah. He's in it for all of, like Keelan said, like 3 scenes, which is so bizarre.
It was the weirdest 3 scenes too because it was just like, oh, I don't approve, and it's like, all right, let's help him. What?
hmm
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The dialogue can be very comical at times. I can't think of anything in particular that made me overtly laugh, but
Mm,
there were some things. The flying monkey
yeah,
was
pretty
one
cool.
of those that made me laugh because it just came out of nowhere.
Stowed away. Well, he stowed away on earlier in the movie, and then he just popped back up.
Is that and so it's funny because we assume that the flying monkey is some sort of Chinese totem, but then they say in the movie that it came from Russia. So I
Yeah,
guess it comes from the forest where all of those
yeah,
monsters come from.
yeah.
Hmm.
When he's going through that area, you see it crawl into that satchel when nobody's.
Okay. Right. Right. Okay. So they had some continuity for the flying monkey. All right. Gotcha. Oh, did Keelan freeze? You awake?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm sitting here like, where do we go with this damn?
I don't know, man. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up? Because I feel like this episode is going to be really short because there's not a whole lot to talk about.
I really don't know I don't know where to go with this movie. It's funny because I'm really sitting here just looking down at my notes, and he goes, "Did you freeze or you sleep?" Like, no.
Your
Damn.
brain just went do 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 do.
Okay. We've actually talked. Excuse me. We've talked about the majority of everything. I guess what the most exciting parts were, um, the fight scene with the multiple prisoners.
Was that at the
Um,
beginning?
that was like towards the middle.
Mm,
Um,
hmm
okay, so let's talk about the relationships because I guess that kind of helps. The relationship between the Master and Hook. So basically, Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger. So as the Master and Jonathan, no, the Master and the Czar basically are trying to escape. The Czar ends up escaping because the Master lets him free. He ends up having this big old fight with Hook. And they go through these things, and eventually they get to this point where it's like, "Oh, you're very good." And it's like, "Oh, you're the strongest ever." And it's like, what are we?
Yeah,
That's a whole movie within itself. Like, what are we doing here?
right.
And by the end of it all, it's like, "Come with me, and I will teach you everything. I will train you." And it's like, what?
Yeah, but that was pretty funny. It was a complete 180 at the end, because he locks the master down, Jackie Chan,
Right.
back again after the fight, and he's like, now he has more chains on him.
Hmm.
And apparently Jackie Chan could have broken out of those chains at any
At
point.
any time,
He
yeah.
just decided that it was dramatic for him to do so later on in the movie.
It had
Uh,
to happen when the dragon was free, so he can get his powers to fly.
Right, right, that's right. But yes, at the end of the movie, when Jackie Chan gets a pardon from Charles Dance's character, the Arnold Schwarzenegger is giving him a compliment, and then Jackie Chan says, "You are the strongest opponent I have ever met."
Ah, you are the strongest opponent. You are the best fighter. I'm like, all right, both of
Yeah.
y'all, go sit down. Go sit
Yep.
down.
Yep.
Retire. It's okay.
And then he
You
invites
did your
Arnold
part.
Schwarzenegger to China because Arnold Schwarzenegger wants to see the dragon. And
Yeah.
in the
Ah,
biggest troll moment of the movie, Jackie Chan's like, "The dragon is everywhere. Don't you see it? It's just landscape."
and there pops up a dragon in the land, a dragon on the water, a dragon in the sky, and I was just like, somebody shoot him in the thigh.
If I were Arnold Schwarzenegger, I traveled for 3 months for this, for a nice beach view. I wanted to see a dragon.
These were different times. You're right.
Yeah, man.
Um, yeah, he let them go. The freedom. Yeah, the Iron Mask man was being taught techniques. He never really learned any technique, but him just knowing one half of a pose allowed him to prove to Cheng Ling, who we find out is the princess, and again the master's daughter, that he is who he says he is, and he got the medallion by goodwill because he came to give it to her. And basically, we end up seeing a not too exciting fight between the real princess and the fake princess, the witch and Cheng Ling.
Well, that wasn't exciting at all, man. I mean, like end scene sort of thing, the siege on the city sort of, that lasted like 20, 30 minutes. That was way too long.
Oh yeah, nothing
Because
happened.
they had to fight all of the henchmen, and the henchmen, like the rock guy that's got a whole bunch of jade attached to his armor, and then the electricity guy and the
Yeah.
sound guy. Yeah.
Well, after they found out that it was just science, you realize, okay, the armor, how do you get that off? How do you get this? How do you stop the I don't think they have developed a solution for the guy that blew the air basically, but in waves, like shock waves. But luckily for them, the captain had, hit him in the between the leg pieces.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes. There's also Little Person pirate that
Yeah,
was in
the
this
cap.
movie. Yes, the captain who does a jump to hit somebody in the nuts with his head, which I thought was a pretty
It
pretty
was pretty
classic move.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But yeah, no, I mean, what the village went dark because the dark forces have taken over. Cheng Ling goes and she rallies the troops. Eventually, they take it back. I mean, that's what's supposed to happen. Not really much exciting happened or worth talking about happened in between the times.
And then
But
you find out the medallion isn't actually worth anything. So
yeah, so the whole movie doesn't make sense because the entire movie is about getting this medallion because you need the medallion. But if the medallion doesn't matter and it's all in her heart, then she wasn't gonna lose no way.
right, right,
That part confused me.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, dude, this thing is so bizarre. I have to say that the CGI, I've seen better CGI on TV, much better CGI on TV.
Ouch.
Uh, I mean, like this is. I mean,
Yeah, no, I understand.
this is on par with some of the more like the Indian films that we've seen, but it's not as the quality of the movie isn't as good. The difference with the Indian films that we've seen that have really bad CGI is that the movie's still good. This one, bad CGI, bad story, bad acting.
All of it just accumulated with snowball, turned into an avalanche.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's 2 hours long too, which it
Yeah.
should not be 2 hours long.
It's a long movie. It doesn't even feel that long, but it's pretty long. Oh yeah, keep in mind. So we find out that the Tsar uses himself as bait to make the witch think he has the medallion. We end up finding out that he's impervious to all kinds of poison.
Yes, because he's been poisoned since he was a child, so no poison affects him anymore. Because that's how poison works.
I think that's how that works.
Right.
That
right,
man
right.
might want to avoid certain things, if not everything.
Right, because if you get exposed to arsenic, then you can also withstand, I don't know, mercury or lead. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't. No, it's just not consistent. It's not. Poisons act differently. So.
No, I was going to say is there has to be some reaction, no matter if it's make believe or not, because who really knows?
I think it was more of a nod to the sort of the old legends about Rasputin. Rasputin was allegedly poisoned multiple times and lived. So there's sort of like this mythology around him about being like a demon or something, because he got poisoned like 3 times and didn't die.
Wow. And there he is out in the battle instead of sitting on the throne, making sure he's still alive. But all right.
Right. And then the cartographer and the chick,
they end up living happily ever after. And he's an inventor and the cartographer, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, the cartography thing is decent enough. Like, it's a good reason for a character to have to go travel to a distant land. But why was his chick following him? He was writing her the whole time, and then
she has to stay close for when her scene came up.
Right. Oh, and then when they reunite with each other, she gives him the really good news that he has a son.
That's like 9, though.
I know, it's at least like 2 or 3 years old. You mean to tell me you haven't seen this dude in like 3 or 4 years?
Right. I wonder what he's supposed to be like. Yay!
I mean, he's been writing you letters. Have you not written him a letter back to say, "Hey, I got some news for you"?
I got a kid for you. How about that?
Yeah. Hey, could you stop traveling the world and come take care of your family?
Bring some diapers.
Yeah. What a bizarre movie, man. What a bizarre movie.
Yeah, it was all upbeats. There was no downbeats of this entire movie. They wrote a movie, all the negative stuff they just took out and added something else positive right after that.
Yeah. There was no real conflict except for, I guess, the witch and Arnold Schwarzenegger. But Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes a good guy at the end.
And the witch never had a chance to begin with.
That's true. Right.
Playing field was rigged.
Right. All right. Well, I think we've exhausted this already.
I believe so as well. The seal wasn't power; it was the love in our hearts.
That's right. It was the flying monkey friends we made along the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was.
I'm sitting here looking like, no, Crazy Storms. Yeah, no, hey. Yeah, that was probably the only cool thing is Peter in the boat saving them through the storm in the middle of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty gnarly.
Right. Yeah. A boat that was headed towards Russia, but then he's in China somehow.
Found a dragon in the ocean. That's how.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Instantly transported. I guess if they were on like the coast towards, like if they were heading from like California westward, you could technically aim for Russia and then hit the coast of China. So.
You mean eastward?
If you're in California, you'd go west to hit China.
Right.
You go across the Pacific.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it was. Maybe they were in like Hawaii or something. Although they were supposed to be in London, so I don't know how they did that. They went the real long way.
That's something I didn't think about was where were they most of this movie?
So the tower was in London, and then the village was in China.
I figured it was called these things, but that didn't mean it was in those places because the accents did not stick for me.
Oh no, I mean Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a British warden. Yeah, and he's not
They,
even trying to do a British accent.
they couldn't let him play an Australian or a Aussie. Yeah,
An
whatever.
Austrian. Yeah.
Yeah, Austrian warden.
No, we got to wait for we got to wait, a few hundred years for that. Yeah, no, the tower was in England,
Mhm.
and they escape the tower to head for Russia. The
And
Tsar
it's
does,
in China.
and they end up in China somehow. I'd like that's not even possible.
Not even. Well, I mean, they say I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, they'd have to sail across the top of the North Pole, which is covered in ice, so they couldn't make it anyways. Or they'd have to go down past Africa to the Cape of Good Hope and then back up through the Indian Ocean to China.
Damn. I don't
But
even know if that all works because I don't
it
know.
doesn't, because they were supposed to go to Russia anyways.
Okay, true. I was sitting here trying to map it out. I don't know my oceans like that. I don't.
Mm-mm.
We
Nope,
just
that's it.
made. Yeah, no, that was it. That we made extra out of that.
All right, well, let's give our final thoughts and our ratings on this one. Short episode, but we're easing our way back into the show.
I can give my final thoughts. My final thoughts. They put more effort into thinking through the fake dragon and thinking through the actual points of this movie.
Yes.
Did I hate it? I didn't hate it. Will I watch it again? No. If I walk in and it's on, how would I feel? It's like the TV movie that you're like, this again. And man, I really expected a lot more. I don't really know.
Me too.
I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna give this a 1.
A twin.
I'm gonna give this
A twin. Yeah.
2.1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this a 1. I don't even know how else to rate this. I have to give it a 1 because it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I don't understand it enough to give it anything higher.
Yeah. Yeah. For a Jackie Chan movie, the fighting should be much better. And Jackie Chan should be in it more. And Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was all a bait and switch just to get people to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The story is not good. It's very basic. It feels like I don't even know if Chinese audiences would like this. Would they? I mean, because it was a Chinese made movie, but I couldn't imagine Chinese people being like, "Oh, this is really good."
Yeah. Like that's exactly what we thought it would be.
Right. Yeah. So who knows? I'm not really sure who this movie is for. I was also thinking maybe they were trying to, hold on to some licensing rights, but I have no idea what they'd be even licensing. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a 1 as well for this one. It's a 1. I would give it a 0, but I don't know.
I don't want to give it a 0 because we have other things that I know we like much, much less.
That's true. So
it's
a 1.
Give it a 0, but it's definitely close.
It's definitely close to a 0. It's just not worth it's not worth giving a second look, unfortunately, which is really sad. I want to see a good Jackie Chan movie. I haven't seen one in a while, and I know he's getting older. So
right, Jackie Chan and Schwarzenegger. I expected this to really be like full on. Get him!
Yeah,
water buckets being thrown at people. Like,
had it just been a sort of like
stuff.
Yeah, had it just been sort of like this cat and mouse game between Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they kept having to fight each other, I would have been fine with that.
I shoot it. I'll write it too.
Yeah. And then I feel also like Jackie Chan didn't really do much of the stunts. He usually does his own stunt work, but a lot of this was
supervised the stunts. He didn't.
Yeah, a lot of this was wire work and CGI. So yeah, and bless him, he's in his. I think he's 70. So 70, yeah, I mean, I understand he can't be doing the same stuff he was doing in Rush Hour. So, although I wish he could.
I was
Jackie, I wish you could stay young and virulent forever.
not Rush Hour. That's 20 years ago almost.
I know. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the final verdict, guys. It was a 1. It was
Single.
bad.
Very underwhelming.
Very underwhelming. Cool. Anything else, Keelan?
No. I appreciate everybody for hanging out for this because whoa.
Yeah. Well, we'll get in a better one next time. But it's always good to bring up the bottom of the barrel and show you guys what we go through for your entertainment.
Are you not entertained?
I know, yeah, you should be. Cool. Well, thanks, guys, so much. We really appreciate it. We're easing back into the show, so we'll be back on Sunday night with you at 8:30 p.m. And we'll let you know on our community page on YouTube what we'll be choosing for that as well. And we got other pop culture onslaught episodes coming up as well too. So stay tuned for those. We're here every Wednesday and Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. And if you want to check out other podcasts that we do separately or with other friends in our group, you can check this page out here. These are all the podcasts that we do on our side time, in between time, and you can check them all out. They have Facebook pages and YouTube pages, some Rumble and Spotify as well. And yeah, I think that's it. I think we're done. I think my morale has been officially broken. I'm going to take the L. And I'm going to go cry now. So, hey, Keelan's on mute. So, there you go. Oh no.
I had all kind of good, why are you crying? Responses.
That's all right. All right, guys. Thank you so much for Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick.
And I am Keelan.
Good night.
Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll try again. No Iron Mask.
We'll do better next time.